In Washington, top U.S. trade officials are now pushing for narrow deals with key allies as President Donald Trump's July 9 tariff deadline approaches, according to the Financial Times. These limited agreements would allow participating countries to avoid harsher reciprocal tariffs, though a 10% levy would still apply while talks on deeper issues continue. The administration is said to be seeing agreements in principle on a select number of trade disputes before that deadline. So far, only a limited deal with the UK has been finalized. For others, President Trump has threatened to simply send out notices informing nations of their new tariff rates if deals aren't reached. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warned that the threat of rising tariffs is very real and that time is running out. The administration is also considering targeted tariffs on strategic sectors if no progress is made. Trump, however, has suggested that the July 9 deadline could shift, telling reporters it could be earlier or later than expected. The White House and Commerce Department have yet to comment on the Financial Times report, and Reuters has been unable to independently verify its details. Now we have guests joining us for this discussion. Ross Feingold, he's a political risk analyst, joining us live from Taipei. Thank you, Ross, for joining us today. Welcome to NewsX World. Ross, what more can you tell us about the situation with the U.S. And this news that I just read out? What progress can we maybe expect from this?
One thing that we've known all along during the few months of Trump's presidency with regard to trade policy is that it would be very challenging for the administration, the Trump administration, to negotiate deals with all of the trading partners within a short period of time. That's not because the U.S. doesn't want to. The Trump administration does want to negotiate deals with America's trading partners, but the issue is simply a resources constraint. And again, we knew this all along. There's only so many countries that the U.S. side can negotiate with simultaneously. Even though there's 3 people leading up these negotiations, some countries are dealing with the Treasury Secretary, some countries are dealing with the Commerce Secretary, and some countries are dealing with the Trade Representative's office. But again, there's only so many hours in a day. There's only so many people available on the U.S. side. So I think because of resources constraint, it's been difficult for other countries to reach a deal with the United States. And that's why we see a lot of talk now about maybe reaching limited deals or even delays in the implementation of the reciprocal tariffs.
And now Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has warned that the threat of rising tariffs is very real. How serious is this threat towards, and which countries is this threat towards, if we can maybe project?
It's certainly a real threat. Whether or not the U.S. grants extensions beyond the upcoming deadline is up to one person. That's President Trump, and we don't know how President Trump feels about that. And he will probably wait until the last day to make decisions. So it's probably safer for countries to assume that they're going to be hit with higher tariffs than to assume they won't be, unless they're able to reach some kind of interim agreement with the United States in the coming few days before the deadline. It's a bit hard to predict which countries might face the higher tariffs. I think the European Union, though, that seems to be a target for President Trump, and they need to be prepared for higher tariffs.
Thank you, Ross Feingold. You will stay with us as we move on to our next news. Iran says it is